Clap it up for Angel Is, everybody. Straight from East Los.
It's been a road to get here, right?
It didn't happen overnight, man.
Right.
And as far as, you know, the hunting end of it, that shit ain't easy, man.
No.
We make it look easy on the website. We're always dropping dead animals
and showing the highlights.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the trap of social media and pictures and videos, right? That it's highlights.
Yeah. And we do guided hunts too. We take people out, and the chances, like, of one of our clients actually shooting something is about 5%. And we'll put a coyote in front of them.
Yeah, couldn't make it any easier.
Dude, man, there's a coyote right there. You're 10 o'clock. Where? and you know, the last two dudes we took out were the nicest dudes from LA. Couple lawyers, and they paid us like $1,000 to take them both out. They wanted a full day, so I'm like, dude, you want to do a full day? By the end of that day, you're not going to know which way's up because it is tiring. But we did it, and they had the best equipment. I was looking at their guns. I'm like, man, that's easy. $1,200 gun, $3,000 scope, and they couldn't hit shit with it. Nothing.
Nothing.
But they just had so much fun being out there.
Right. Yeah.
It was like they're just getting away from their wives or something, man.
Or from the city too, right? Yeah, that's a part of it. Are those guided hunts a lot more like complicated for you guys?
They can be. They can be. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but it's nice to be in a position where, you know, somebody pays you for your expertise.
Right.
And we don't look at ourselves as like expert hunters, but I guess at this point we would be pretty close to that.
It's more like a acknowledgement of your guys' experience and like all the work you've put in over these years, right? Can you guys tell when you like is it just like a call or something? Because I'm sure there's some people you would want to avoid on a guided hunt. Like, you don't want like no dickheads coming in.
If somebody wants to come and do a hunt with us, they've got to have a hunting license and they've got to put down a deposit.
Right.
You get a lot of calls. Oh, I want to buy a hunt for my boyfriend or whatever. You go, yeah, fine. You tell them the information, and if they follow through, they follow through. Fantastic. We'll set it up.
Kind of cut some people out already. Just the first step, right?
Yeah. I mean, the last guy I took out, I just sent him a hide. Just because he was such a good dude, man. This guy, his name was Nick, and he's from New York, from Long Island. And he was out here with his family. Like, they flew into San Francisco. They rented I don't know what, minivan or something and drove down. And they were going to Disneyland. And he's like, Paul, I want to book a hunt with you. So he got a temporary California license. I lent him a firearm, and we got out there, and I called in 3 coyotes, that's how we do it. We use a sound, a little speaker that will play a rabbit being distressed or another coyote or a baby coyote that's in trouble, and they'll come and check it out. They're cute. And I go, and this dog walks around, and he's like 20 yards in front of me. I'm like, Nick, there he is, right there. And he was fumbling and just couldn't get it done, and just his personality was so funny. You know, it was something else. He was a good dude, but usually we go together. Oliver will be behind me, or I'll be behind Oliver,
right? Just
in case, because we don't know these people. I don't know what's going through your head.
Got you.
We're out there with high-powered rifles, and you know, anything can happen.
Yeah, well, mental illness is unfortunately an epidemic.
Exactly. So we pretty much do it like that. But the business, PredCon, I started it back in, I want to say 2012, 2013. And I started hunting when I retired from wrestling. I was a competitive wrestler in college and then after college. And I got to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. Physically, you can't take that beating.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's something, right?
Couple weeks out of retirement, man, my knees started feeling better. My neck started to feel better.
Like this change was worth it.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I can still walk and still move.
So hunting, how like that made the transition easier?
That was completely
So,
something.
How old were you when you started hunting?
35.
Yeah.
35 thereabouts. My brother-in-law, he was a hunter, but he didn't really help me that much. He lived out in the desert, so I was really self-taught. And I thought I was going to read books and stuff, but that doesn't work. You got to get your feet on the ground, get a direction, and
make mistakes and take some bumps and bruises.
I've almost killed myself a couple times, man. I've made some dumb mistakes. I got into predator hunting, coyote hunting, because deer season's a month long.
Right.
And what are you going to do with those other 11 months? So my buddy says, hey, you know what? Let's go coyote hunting. We'll get a call. And I said, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do it. Let's go coyote hunting.
Try it out.
So there we are. We're sitting out there, and we didn't get anything, nothing, for months. And I said, you know what? I'm going to buy one of those electric calls and plunk down some money, And so I bought this call from Primos. I think it was called the Power Dog. And went up to this spot by myself, and I hit this call. And like in 2 minutes, this coyote's running down. I'm like, holy crap, this works. And right there, boom, I was addicted just from that point on. So I took a shot at that one, missed, of course. And then I went to a different spot and I shot my first coyote. And after that, I thought it was easy.
Right.
And I didn't see another coyote for about a year. I just kept at it, kept at it. I found every spot in Southern California that doesn't have coyotes to hunt. I've been there. I've tried. And
that doesn't have them to
hunt. I made all the mistakes. Said, yeah, don't hunt there, hunt over here. Now, over the years, I just started getting better and better and better at it. And then I ran into some ranchers. It was really kind of funny. I don't know if you remember that horse ranch off the 91.
Yeah.
That off of Green River.
For sure.
I used to take my daughters over there, and we'd go feed the horses apples and stuff. And we went over there, and the horses, they weren't close to the fence. So I'm like, Elise, let's go. Let's just drive in and see if we can go in there. So we drove in, and there was like this little mobile home where the rancher lived. And I get out of my truck. I'm like, girl, stay here. I'm going to go talk to the guys. So I knock on the door, and he said, yeah, come on in. And it's an older gentleman sitting there watching Fox News. So I'm like, cool, I'm in good shape here. And next thing, both of my daughters come running in and like sit on this guy's lap and start calling him grandpa. And I didn't know it, but this guy, his name is Slim Hart, and he's since passed away. His wife Donna Hart she was running that ranch. She took the ranch out to Texas, but they run Hart quarter horses, very famous in the horse world. And I talked to him about hunting coyotes, and he's like, yeah, that's fine. Come on in anytime. Showed me where the key was. And then from there, I got into another place we call Vantage, which is another ranch run by a guy named Gene O'Brien. Gino, the last of the Orange County Cowboys, is what he called himself. And he's since passed away. But our keys all work the gates. So we still go in there. I don't know if we're supposed to, but we go in there. At least I went in there. When I say we, my partner Oliver,
right.
I got him on board about 10 years ago when he was trying to learn. He wanted to coyote hunt, and I was like, all right. He was a mutual friend of ours, recommended him to me, and he lived around the corner. So
it worked.
Yeah, and he was learned quicker than anybody I know. Now he's kind of. He's got it down to a science.
It sounds like it wasn't very was the whole business intentional, or did it kind of just piece together on its own? It
pieced together on its own. And ultimately, I was talking to a friend of mine. He said, you know what, why don't you run that as a business?
Yeah, at least just put the
that
offer
way
out there.
You get some write-offs, you can make some money, and
you enjoy it.
And we do it for free if we had to. And which is basically what we do in a lot of cases. It's the privilege of hunting that private land.
Right,
the last few spots around Orange County that are
really Southern California in a sense, right? It's just
and
disappearing.
one of our spots is just got plowed over. Like we drove in there the other day. I was like, whoa, look at all these homes.
Yeah.
Where'd they come from? Like they're brand new.
Happened quick. Huh?
Yeah, I was here a month ago. That didn't take long,
Yeah.
you know. It didn't take long at all.
Yeah, so you really get to see like something like that in a way deeper like perspective and a view, because we could drive by and see houses and stuff like, oh, those are new, but when you're walking those hills and
Yeah.
you're in there and
Like, where'd all the animals go?
yeah,
They just disappear.
yeah.
Usually they get pushed out, and that's really what's hammering our herds, our deer herds. There's lack of habitat. The habitat's just being destroyed.
Right.
At least around here. You know, Northern California, you get north of LA, it's all wide open.
It's spacious.
They got plenty of stuff up there. You know, I tell Oliver, that's my hunting partner, I say, dude, we're running out of places to hide, man. I mean,
It's gonna start getting more complicated.
yeah. So I'll start a different business up in Idaho. So we got PredCon South, and then I'm going to do PredCon North.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll still run it through the same website, but
Yeah.
we'll just have two different inputs from pictures, and there are a lot of farmers up there in the Spokane Valley that need coyote depredation.
Yeah. I would assume Idaho would probably be good for that type of work, right?
Yeah, Idaho, the middle and southern part is a lot more farmland. Coeur d'Alene itself is kind of mountainous,
Right.
but if you go through a little mountain pass, it's about 20 miles to the Spokane, to the Washington border, and eastern Washington's all farms.
Right.
And we've driven through there. Coyotes, moose, mule deer, mountain lions, wolves, grizzlies, just anything you can shake a stick
Right.
at. Yeah. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, and
I'm looking forward to it.
has to be challenging, right? Because
Yeah,
I mean, a
definitely.
lot of that stuff's not right here in this area, right?
Yeah, out here you're not worried. Nothing out here will kill you. Except maybe a mountain lion.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough to see one.
Yeah, right. That has to be rare, right?
Yeah.
Is that something that was like a part of your choice to go out there?
Definitely.
That-
Definitely. We looked at a couple spots. We looked at Salt Lake City. We went to Missoula, Montana. We were kind of pondering Wyoming for a little bit, but it's just there's nothing there, and it's windy as hell.
Cold as hell in the winter.
Yeah, winters stay very
Yeah.
long and hard. And then Coeur d'Alene, it's a city of like 90,000, I think, something like that. There's a couple high schools. The high schools have like 1,200 students, 2,000 students. So I have one daughter that'll do 2 years of school up there, and that was important. I mean, I like Missoula myself, but
Yeah.
it's a little too out there.
Yeah, too quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, 90,000. That's like
That's
seems
good.
like a good range, right?
Yeah. And I think it'll be a good change for Stella. That's my daughter that will be up there with us, and
Right.
and you know, if she wants to come back to Southern California and go to college, she can. That's not a problem. You know, we'll have enough money from the sale of our house to where we'll have
Yeah.
better options for them versus staying here. The taxes, between the taxes and the utilities and everything's really, really expensive. And me, I'm a senior citizen now, man. I'm on a fixed income. I can't, you know. I gotta milk every discount I can get,
Yeah.
dude. I didn't get this gray beard by, sleeping in.
Hey, you've done your time already. And
24 years and change at Car Intermediate, and that'll.
Well, congratulations on
Thank you.
on a great career, and I hope you enjoy your retirement. And
Moving on to my second phase.
yeah, right. And I'm sure that's important too. You don't want to like kind of
No.
just like not-
See, I've seen guys retire at like 75 or 80,
right.
and it's like, bro, you're done.
Yeah,
You're done, man.
done.
You know, I'm gonna be 60, and I've kept myself in pretty decent shape. I got some aches and pains here and there,
Right.
but most days I'm good. I figure I got out at the right time.
Yeah, and something to focus on
Yeah.
and keep that you enjoy to
Go
keep
there.
yourself rolling.
Coach wrestling. I could teach again if I wanted to.
Yeah, some good options then lined
Yeah.
up, right? Is that something you would want to get back into, the coaching?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, wrestling is really that was the sport that put me on the map. You know, it kept me out of trouble.
Right.
And back in the 80s when I was wrestling in high school, you could get into college, a university, a 4-year, without having good grades.
For wrestling?
Yeah, for wrestling. Now, these days, no, that's not going to happen.
Right.
They passed a bunch of laws, but back then, you could get in if your coach just put your name into the registrar, you get your ID number, and they say, okay, here's your deal. You got to get a 2.0.
And we'll make it work.
Well, yeah, your first semester, they put you on probation, and I ended up getting a 3.5 and got the athletic honor roll. And then my sophomore year, I ended up getting a scholarship.
Oh, yeah.
And ended up becoming an all-conference, all-Pac-10. Made it to the Nationals, the NC2A tournament. I didn't place, but my goal coming out of high school, if I got into university, was to get to that tournament.
Yeah.
And I made it.
Yeah.
Just to get there, that's top 32 in the nation. Yeah, so I was pretty stoked with that.
I think you should be. Yeah, I think. That's no easy feat.
No. And then, you know, after that, I started working with high school kids, coaching and developing programs. Staying with it because it had been really good to me. It kept me out of trouble.
Toughened you up for sure, because I'm sure
toughens you up, and
to make it that far, it's not going to be a.
And wrestling's a hard sport.
Yeah.
So anybody you meet in that sport that's good at it is going to be a solid individual, because you can't be lazy and be a good wrestler. It just doesn't work, man.
Yeah. What? And they kind of like, I feel like wrestling, there's like a lack of like ego and like entitlement in wrestling.
Yeah.
I wonder why is that because I mean, there's also like not really no showboating in wrestling, right? But
that's a good question, man. I think it's just the fact that everything is so hard in that sport.
Yeah, and you can't. I mean, you could like make it look good, but it's not like you could like you're not doing something that's necessarily fancy or.
It's a blue collar. There's
very right.
I mean, I wrestled at Cal State Fullerton. That was my university, and Troy High, we had fans. The bleachers of high school wrestling. And you go to university, and there's like 10 people there.
Right.
So you're not doing it for the glory, man. Yeah. You're not doing it for the glory. And then, you go up to Bakersfield and everyone's wearing cowboy boots. You're in for a
real competition.
Rough ride, man. You better have your shit together, man.
Is there any matches that you specifically remember being on that run were just like brutal or? Yeah,
there were a couple. That's funny you asked that, because I was thinking about this match the other day. There was a dual meet. I think it was my sophomore year, and I wrestled this kid named David Lee. And David was a state champion here in California, and he was at Stanford wrestling there at 167 pounds. And his coach was a guy named Dave Schultz. And Schultz was world champion, Olympic champion.
Legit.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And Schultz, like, if you looked at him on the street, you would just think, who's this pile of crap, man? But he was a torturous, unglued mud. Yeah. And he coached his kids to be like that, too. And I remember wrestling David, and, like, I was a really physical wrestler, too. And we fought, man. I mean, I tried to rip his eyes out, and he tried to break my back. I mean, and when it was done, I know I didn't beat him, but it was a close match, and I was happy with my performance. Right. I left everything on the mat, and I went over to shake Schultz's hand, and I said, "Hey, sorry about that." I felt like I was out of line. I was being too physical with this boy. And he looks at me and goes, "Sorry about what, son? It's a tough sport."
There you go.
Yeah, I was
Stamp of approval right there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Coming from Schultz, yeah.
What sport is better to get kids into, right, than wrestling?
I think wrestling's pretty good. It's not for everybody, and over my years of coaching, I've seen, like, let me give you an example. We had a couple guys up at Villa Park. The one kid, his name was Matt Mahoney, and he looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy. big old belly, never could get below 180, but the kid moved like a deer. He ended up being a CIF champion, you know, and I trained with him every day and worked out with him. And then we had another kid who came in, and he looked like a Greek god, like chiseled.
Yeah,
like,
ready.
I was like, holy crap, we can work with that. But the dude had no heart.
Yeah.
As soon as he got bopped a little bit, he quit. He went off and did something else.
Yeah.
Which is fine, you know. And then I tell everybody, hey, come out for the sport. If you like it, great. If you don't, no problem, dude.
Yeah,
it's not for everybody. It's a
find
weird
fun in it.
It's a weird type of sport, and you never know. You never know who's going to excel at it. There's no like set body type.
Yeah.
No, it's all what you got inside here,
Yeah.
what's in your heart. But wrestling, it gives you the work ethic and you know, discipline.
So it's really a grind, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure you had to go. Did you have to like fly out for once you got deeper into that tournament to different cities?
Yeah. I flew to Ames, Iowa, and competed there at the Hilton Coliseum.
Has to get.
I don't know how many people are in that place, but it was rocking.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm sure once it got to that level, it started getting bigger and bigger.
It was
right?
fucking rocking, dude. And then I wrestled in what would be kind of like the pre-Olympic trials. The U.S. Open in '95 was in Vegas, and that was a cool tournament. My dad came out with me, and I went 2 wins, 2 losses. So I got to the round of 16. I think it was the top 4 would go to the final elimination tournament like a month later to see who was going to go. I think it was Atlanta at the time. Right. But that tournament was a rodeo, man. I had a big old gash over my eye after the second fight or the second match, and they just taped it up for me. And I went to they have it like a triage tent like this. Yeah. With
just a little spot.
The doctors are all in there, and there was a line of people going out. So I just said, Scott, screw it, I'm going to wait. And I waited, and by the time I got in there, the dude, you know, they just sew you up right there. And the guy was a vet. He was a horse doctor. Yeah. But he was really good at suturing, so he was like the cut guy. And my dad videotaped the whole thing, man. Yeah. Like, cool, thanks, Pops. That's
legendary.
Yeah, so I went back to my 9-to-5 job with a big shiner.
Hell yeah.
Big shiner.
And a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure, but I'm also sure, like, the stuff you learned in wrestling you kept with you for life, right? Kind of strengthened your, like, fortitude. Or
you don't have any time for people that are lazy.
Right.
That's really
not the
my
coaches, right?
Yeah, that's my. If you're lazy, I can't help you.
Right.
You know, I mean, things got to be done. Buck up, get your work done. You know, if you're lazy, I got news for you. It's not going to get any easier.
You don't have to come in like the most enthusiastic person every day, but just
you got to put your work in, man.
do that, right?
And some days you're going to come in, you're just going to hate it, but that's called discipline, man. Just do it, get it done. And I tried to tell that to my students most of the only reason you guys are failing is because you're being outworked by everybody else. You're plain and simple. You're being outworked. You know, my daughters, they'd come home, they'd do homework for hours, you know, and I didn't necessarily agree with it because I'm like, well, what are you doing? You got 6 hours of homework a night and you got to go to tennis or soccer or whatever. So they learn to manage their time. And I got these kids down at Carr. They don't do any homework. I'm like, so what do you do with the 8 hours of free time you have every night? And then you come here and expect me to sprinkle holy water on you, and all of a sudden your reading level bumps up 3 years. It don't work like that, bro.
No.
And it's not gonna. And it's not gonna get any easier. So if you think you're tired now, I got bad news. Yeah. Your energy, you're never gonna have more energy than you do right now, buddy. It's only going down.
And you have the chance to build something right now that's gonna make those years better once you're a little bit older too.
Exactly. Yeah, I keep in touch with some of those guys. Some of my students. Some of them gone on to do pretty well.
Yeah.
I actually have one kid runs his own security firm. he watches pot shops.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has to be like satisfying too, right?
Yeah.
No.
Like, we got one kid who's in jail for life
Yeah.
without parole, man.
Right.
Yeah. Huh.
Unfortunately, right?
Yeah. This guy's name was Juan Roldan. He was like my second year there. Nice kid, 8th grader.
Yeah.
Went to high school, got all doped up into a gang, and him and a couple of his homeboys executed some people. Put them on their knees and shot him in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Boom. And I see his face in the paper. I'm like, holy crap, I know that guy. That's Juan.
Yeah.
And I read up, like, oh, capital murder. And, we're all very proud of Juan. He's he's done a real good job with his life. Yeah, nice knowing you, buddy.
Yeah.
Nice knowing you. Nice. That's a solid decision. But most of the kids, they're going to stay in the neighborhood. They're going to do neighborhood jobs.
Yeah. I mean, better that than life in prison. You know,
Yeah.
it's. I'm sure it's also there has to be like a line that you guys have to draw for your own sanity too, to know that like, well, I can't.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
impossible to.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't change everything, every kid's life.
Yeah.
You guys will.
That's a young teacher's mindset.
Right.
They're going to change the world,
Yeah.
man. They're gonna change the world. You do it 1 year at a time, one kid at a time. You know, I pretty much laid out my program. I was not apologetic for anything. I told the kids how it was. I didn't lie to them. I said, look, you're not going to be a doctor, buddy. You're not going to be the president. You know, you might work in a doctor's office.
Yeah.
But you'd have to go be born again and start all over with a different DNA.
Right.
That's just the cold reality. But doesn't mean you can't get a slice of the pie.
Yeah.
And there's a big pie out there.
Doesn't mean you have to make things
Yeah.
worse, neither, right?
Yeah. So you work hard, work smart, and you can get it. You can get it done. Have some discipline. You know, in teaching special ed, these kids have been beat up their whole life. You know, they're kind of like underdogs already when they
Right.
get to me. So a lot of my program is building them up. You know, break them down a little bit and then try to build them up, give them some stuff, give them some wins,
Right.
get them excited about reading, about writing, and, take it from there.
Just even like a little bit of self-esteem, right?
Yeah.
Just a little bit of
Yeah.
self-confidence.
Couple wins,
Yeah.
couple W's, whether
Couple truths that,
whether it's just showing up with a pencil.
yeah.
You know, I got no pencil. Do I go hunting without my gun? You know? Is that what I do? Do I do that? Do I look like the guy that's going to show up without his rifle? You know, you got to do a little bit of prep.
Yeah.
You know, when I walked from my car to here, I saw probably 15 pencils on the ground. You know, so why don't you go out that door, and your mission in life
Yeah.
is to
Life
go
lesson
find a
number
pencil.
one. Yeah. As simple as it gets.
And if you could do that, that's a victory. That's
Yeah.
victory number one. And then you come in and, we take it from there.
Did it take you like time to develop that
yeah.
type of like
Oh, yeah.
program and mindset?
Yeah. Takes years. First couple years there, we had about 2,000 students, which is about over twice what they have now.
It's a lot of people.
Kids were ringing the fire alarm every day. They're throwing firecrackers in your room. I had one kid pull the fire extinguisher off the wall, just pull the pin and yeah. Oh man. Oh, I'd go home. I felt like I was in a fight. I was like, oh my gosh. I don't know if this is the right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm in the right spot. And
Got to reevaluate.
yeah, for sure. And then just it's like they try their hardest to make you not want to teach. And I'm not talking about the kids, the principals and the administrators. Like I got my credential, and then I had to do this thing called the Beginning Teacher Support BITSA, something like that, where when I was done with my day, I'd have to go down to the district office and talk to these two ladies who were helping me. Like, you know what, like
They had no idea what.
yeah,
was
whatever
going
you
on.
do is not going to help. What I need right now is a pillow, and I had to do that for 2 years. And then you have to. The way the state works it is you get a preliminary credential, And then within 5 years, you have to do like 6 more classes to get your clear credential. Meanwhile, you're going to school full time or you're working full time. Then you have to get all these extra classes. It really is something else.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the amount of certificates you need to go into a classroom.
Just layers and layers of complications.
BITSA was the worst. Oh man, that was something else. Like the only thing I learned from all of my teaching, training, everything, all the courses, was when you're making your boxes on your whiteboard, use black electric tape. That was it. That was the only tip I got that actually helped.
Yeah.
Everything else, this is how you're going to set your groups up. No.
Yeah.
You know, I learned you let the kids come in first day of school and you let them sit where they want to sit. And that will show you who to separate.
Yeah.
Because they'll sit right next to their buddies. You know what I'm saying?
Give them that option.
You let them tell you. And a couple things I learned. This is for the beginning teachers out there. Your enemy is their backpacks. So you got to eliminate their backpacks. Have them get whatever they need out of their backpack in the beginning of class, and you have them hanging on a hook in the back or put it on the floor. I built some hooks and just lag bolted them into the back of my room. So here, you put your backpack there, you get out what you need.
Disconnect.
Yeah, you put your phone in there, you put everything you need in there, and then you're going to go to your desk, and you're going to hold your pencil up, and you're going to stand next to your desk. You're not going to sit down. You're going to stand next to your desk. You're not going to move until I tell you. And they do it.
Yeah.
You know, day one. And I tell them, look, the reason you're doing this is because some of you came in from lunch or came in from wherever. So physically you're in here, but mentally you're still out there.
Yeah, they're still buzzing.
So you come in here, you stand next to your desk. I want you to take 3 deep breaths and get ready to work. This is you prepping to go from one, you got one hat on, now you're putting another hat on. Then they sit down.
I like that.
Versus they roll in with their backpacks and they're groveling through it trying to find a pencil. It's like, God damn, dude, how big is that pocket? You know, how long is it going to take you to look through that thing?
What do you have in there?
And the pencil sharpeners also, for my guys, is the enemy, because they would, can I sharpen my pencil? Yeah, go ahead, go sharpen my pencil. And they stick the thing in there and pull it out, blow on it, stick it back in there. And this goes on.
Yeah, got it until it's perfect.
You know, and so I took the pencil sharpener off the wall and I threw it out. And then the next day, the janitor had put another one on there. And so I threw that one out, and then another one was on there. So I'm like, okay. I took a screwdriver and jammed it in there and just busted all the teeth. So I kept the pencil sharpener there, but the teeth were all busted. So I told them, hey, you want to sharpen your pencil, sharpen it. But don't expect me to give you a pencil sharpener. I'm you know, what, you can't afford one? No. Be self-sufficient was the lesson. Take care of your own business. Yeah. Be prepared, prep, come in, have your pencils sharpened. If it's not sharpened, have your own little pencil sharpener. You know, when I was in school, you could have a little pocket knife, just something that you could peel your apples with, and you sharpen your pencil. And a couple of the kids came in, they bought pencil sharpeners, and they put them in this little corner, and everyone used them. Yeah. So they got tired of being made fun of, I guess.
That's a win right there.
Yeah. And then the next thing you want to do is if an adult walks in the room, every kid stands at attention. They stand up, they snap to. Boom. And they don't move until someone tells them to. Now, why? Well, out of respect for the adults that are there, A, and B, that keeps everybody in yellow. So they don't go to condition white where they're just zombies. Right. They got to pay attention. Their head's on a swivel. That door opens.
They notice.
They're checking it out real quick.
They notice before when it's barely squeaking.
Yeah, and administrators love that.
Yeah.
They walk in, they're like, ooh, Mr. H, ooh, I like that. And every country in the world does that. Even Mexico. Go down to Mexico. Try half the crap these guys do down in TJ, man. See how far you get.
Not gonna work.
No.
That's
No. It would be a little different.
And things like that, those little like almost routines or little like mandatory, like I guess routines.
Yeah, you're right. Routine.
Yeah,
They know what they're supposed to do
Yeah,
all day.
I feel like that's some like
It's just called structure.
yeah, and that's something we, especially as kids, we know we need, and it does feel good to know like, oh, I know what to do next, because a lot of life is, oh, I don't know what to do next, but like, oh, I already know how it's gonna go, so yeah, I could kind of settle in and get grounded into what's to come.
Yeah, I don't have any rules posted up on my board, or I didn't. I had 3 iron reminders that I got from my father, who his father gave them to him. And the first one is always do what you're told. Do what you're told the first time. Second one, always keep your mouth shut. Third one, never complain. If you could do those 3 things, man, you be president of Bank of America, man.
Yeah.
And that's like, my dad said, yeah, if you do that, you get gold stars on your report card. And I was like, yeah, all right.
So there were
1, always do what you're
always
told.
do what you're told.
Always keep your mouth shut
Always
and never complain.
And never complain, yeah.
And never complain. Why? Because nobody cares. Your parents don't even care. They might a little bit, but probably not at this point.
Yeah, it's like they can't care.
Yeah.
They can't at this point. They can't even care.
No one wants to hear about your problems.
Your middle school problem.
Yeah, right. And that was it. I had 0 discipline issues, but it took time to develop that, you know. And I actually had a principal that said, I don't want you having kids stand at attention anymore. It's too disruptive. I said, fine, you're the boss. And discipline started to slack. Kids started to get a little crazy. Yeah. And then that guy got moved to another school. So I was like, on deck, better stand at attention.
Why, right? Why? Is it disruptive? It's really actually like brings everybody together. Probably like brings a little bit of unity in the classroom too. Like even for when the kids are outside, like, when we go in there, we know what it is already. We can't.
Everybody knows the deal.
Yeah, we can't. They'll probably talk about it like, oh, we're in there. Like, we gotta be,
my
we gotta chill.
My
we gotta
street
be
cred
chill.
went up, and part of the thing we did with PredCon is the coyotes. We would, I would strip the tails, and I would tan them at my house, and clean them up and tan them, and I'd bring them into class. And on one side of the room was the coyote challenge, and I put the tail, if I had one tail, I'd put it up on the board. And on the other side was their side, where they would have to read books, novels. And throughout the year, we would read at least 10 novels as a class. And I said, okay, I'm going to put 10 tales up here at least. You're going to put 10 books up there, and at the end of the year, I'm going to give these tales away to the top performers. You're student of the month. You get a coyote tail. And for some reason, that just lit a fire under them. I don't know why, but you know, and I even talked to my principal about it, and he's like, "Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't cost any money. It's all legal. You're good to go."
Especially the boys too, right? Like
yeah. I mean, I was working on a tale at my desk one time, and this kid came up and said, "Hey, how do I get one of those? Read this book, front to back, and then come tell me about it."
Yeah.
And a couple of days later, he comes in. He says, "Okay, I'm ready to give you my report."
Hell yeah.
I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool, man." So I was doing it on my own, and then Oliver started, and we like started to double. And like last year, I think we put 25 tails up there. We killed like 25 coyotes. We went on a killing spree, man. It was fucking great. And then this year we got 22. I think we probably could have gotten more, but one of my rifles was off. I missed a couple of shots. And it was a brand new gun. Just I don't know what the problem is with it. I'll figure it out up north. The ammo's too expensive down here. But yeah, and then I had a deer head on my wall, nice little buck from Morongo Valley, and then for many years we would have I had an annual Christmas party. We would have game. We would have like deer quesadillas. One year, I think the biggest year I had was we had a bear. We had bear, antelope, deer, and salmon. Like my brother-in-law got the salmon and the antelope, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I've tried salmon. The other three I've yet to try.
Antelope was good. The bear was good. The deer was good. It was all and we had the ladies come in, like the lunch ladies came in and cooked it all up.
Crazy.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, their eyes got all big.
It's soon.
And in the last year we did it. It just, I'm like, man, that's a lot of work. Right. That's a lot of work. Like the last day before Christmas break, and then the next year I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that this year. I'm over it. That's when it kind of started mailing it in a little bit, I guess.
You're ready.
After about like year 20.
Yeah. Can't blame you.
Yeah.
It's interesting too I find it interesting that you having something you were so attached to and like passionate about in your personal life, your hunting, it kind of like strengthened your perspective and even like gave you like tools to operate in teaching, right?
Absolutely.
So I think like if for people come in like, oh, teaching's my life, like it's for maybe some people genuinely feel that way, but some people probably are trying to convince themselves that it is, where if they had like a more of a personal life that
more balanced.
Yeah, a more balanced life, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Teaching, I mean, I got into it kind of late. I think I was 39, 40 maybe.
Yeah, so you were hunting before you were teaching.
Yeah, I was hunting before I was teaching. Yeah. Having balance, it really helps, because if, it's like owning stocks, man. If one stock goes down, it's okay. You still got these. Like if my teaching goes down, it's still hunt. My hunting goes down, you still teach. But
it'll come back up.
Yeah. And being able to share that with your students and let them in a little bit,
right.
It really helps.
Yeah.
I think it lets them know that you do care, and I cared about all of them.
Right.
I would never tell them until like the very end of the year when they were leaving. Say, hey, good luck, man.
Yeah.
I mean that, guys. But during the year, man, look, I'm not emotionally involved here, buddy.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a shoulder to cry on, go next door. That ain't me.
There it is. Yeah, I'm sure all the like your room also had like a allure to them too, right? Like there was a presence when they walked in.
Yep. I had it set up pretty good. I had it really nice and it was really nice and clean. Lots of books, lots of bookshelves, plenty of literature. I did my own Student of the Month program. They do it as a school now, but I was giving away stuff. Like if you get Student of the Month, I would give you your certificate, a little medal, and then I used to go buy something for them, but now I just give them 20. That was easier. I just put it in an envelope, say bonus. Yeah. Here's your bonus. Money talks.
Here's your bookmark for the next book.
Right. I give it to them on a Monday too, so they didn't go out and spend it on dope.
Yeah.
Go buy crack. I got 2 crack rocks, Mr. H. Want one? That was good. That was a good career, good time. And I never left Carr for some reason. Just never had any. I mean, I interviewed at a couple other places, but
it never happened.
Never happened. Never found a reason. Carr for me was good because they let me get away with freaking pretty much anything. And the layout was nice. Yeah. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, how they got all the windows and trees, and I mean, there are schools out there that are built like prisons.
Right.
Like you go in that classroom, you don't see the light of day. It's like you may as well be an OCJ.
Yeah.
It's like, bro.
Big ass buildings.
Yeah. Where are the windows? I got to look at this fluorescent light.
Yeah. Where's the livelihood? Especially for outdoorsy guy like you too, right?
Oh yeah. We did some wood shop. I had them doing refinishing on some old bookshelves and desks that they made there back in the day. Like back in the 70s, they had wood shop and they made these really good desks out of oak. and they were throwing them out. And I was like, hey, no. So I pulled a couple of them into my room, and I had the boys. I just gave them some 60 grit and
Get started.
yeah, and they did a good job. I actually took 2 home for my daughters when they were like in primary school, like 1st through 6th grade, where they're doing a lot of painting and coloring and stuff. So I'm like, here, make a mess. I don't care.
Work on these. Straight from wood shop.
Yeah. And the kids would be like, where'd you get these? I'm like, these were made by the wood shop, by the boys here back in the 70s. They're like, really? How come we can't do that now, Mr. H? I'm like, too many guys were cutting their hands off, I guess. Who knows?
Probably something that needs to get reintroduced, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Those boys, when they were able to work on that and then see the finished product, and then I would take a picture and they could sign, they would sign it underneath. I mean, I left some stuff in the room that some guys built from 2013. Still has their name on it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, because that type of work actually, when it translates to something physical, it's different than like pieces of paper. Or
yeah, just reading.
For certain personalities and like.
Because these guys, they'll read, but they're like, what's this going to do for me?
Yeah, but to be able to work on something that.
See something
happen.
Come of it.
Yeah.
Did a little boxing. Boxing was more popular like before COVID. Then COVID hit, and then nobody wanted to box anymore. I brought in all my stuff, like not like sparring, but just like mitts and some mitt gloves, and show them combinations. And because I learned to box from Jesse Reed and then this other guy, Steve Hurley. They were my boxing coaches, and just try to teach these kids, and some of them really picked it up. They really enjoyed it
for sure. Yeah, because that's like the problem too, right? Well, I mean, obviously, it's the outlets, and even just like being able to try more than one thing and be able to like, this doesn't work, but I like this a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Where was that gym where you were learning?
I was when I got done wrestling in college. I kept competing, in the what they call the open circuit, which is like. That's the World Championships, Olympics would be the top of that. There was a gym down in Mission Viejo called Extreme University, and that was a gym that trained Ultimate Fighters. Well, back then it was more Pancrase and Pride. Those were the 2 organizations, and they had a boxing ring and a cage down there, and I went down there. This friend of mine said, yeah, go down there and try out. I'm like, yeah, all right. I'd been working out at Golden West Junior College with a guy named Tank Abbott and another guy named Tito Ortiz. Yeah. They were wrestlers, and just thought, we're talking 90s here, man, like mid 90s. The UFC is like
barely being created.
If you get a fight in the UFC, you're on the banks of the Mississippi in a warehouse.
Kind of, you might be hiding from some law enforcement.
And your dressing room is in a motorhome, and they just like write your name on a pie plate and stick it up there. And then when you're done, they put the next guy up there. They had a bunch of fights in Japan,
right?
And
it was bigger already over there.
It was, that was the only place you could make money. Yeah. And none of us wanted to get real jobs, so we would just go down. We'd either go to LA Boxing up here, or down there to Extreme University. And we were all trying to get fights booked. And I got one fight booked. I was supposed to go over there and fight this dude named Suzuki. It's Minoru Suzuki. He was like he was a world champ, Pancrase world champ, and he broke his leg. And he was making his comeback. So they wanted some easy American for him. And I was like, yeah, let's do it, man. And I ended up having a stomach injury. So I had to pull out of the fight. But, when you train for that, you go from just wrestling, which is big part of it, It's like 80%.
It's the best base.
You learn boxing and some jiu-jitsu, and all of a sudden you're good to go. Because back then, there weren't a lot of wrestlers. If you were, the competition level rose very quickly.
Right.
But when it was just starting out, if you're a real good wrestler,
Especially American wrestling.
yeah,
Right?
you could do okay. You know, you learn some strikes, and you're not going to armbar me if I'm punching you in the face.
Right.
That's, you know, these days it's a whole different scientific game, man, that I like to watch from my couch. But
Yeah,
you know,
technique.
back then I was in my 30s and still a little bit over the hill to be starting that.
Right.
But yeah, down there, Extreme University, we had a couple fights down there. The last one I did, I had a fight scheduled in June 6, 1998. It was called Extreme Shoot 2. This thing was at Saddleback Junior College, right? And they had the whole gym sold out.
Yeah.
They had a ring in there. And I can't remember who I was supposed to fight, but the guy left. He split. He didn't want to fight. Yeah, so I end up getting a bye, right?
Yeah.
And I get my little cup, and I was supposed to make like $500, and then another 500 to win, which was a lot of money back then to a couple broke jamokes like me and my buddies. And the dude didn't pay me anything. I didn't get a dime. I couldn't find him.
You got the cup though.
I got the cup and a T-shirt. And I saw a little tiny photo of me holding that cup up like a proof, and that was the only record of it. And that was the last time I just
was involved.
I just took my shoes off, left them there, said, "Now I'm out. Thanks, guys." I was like 35, 36, something like that.
Probably good time to
Good time to hang it up. And like I said, my knees started to feel a lot better after that. And then I kind of slowly worked my way into teaching.
Yeah, what a transition too from there.
Yeah, it's been good, man. It's been a good run.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't always pretty. A lot of mistakes along the way. You know, shit I don't want my kids to hear about.
Right. Just from being a male and, you know, thinking of myself as a boy in middle school and stuff, I'm sure you had a good influence on.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so. You would have been a cool teacher to have. Definitely have that discipline and that like the masculinity. That's
especially in Santa Ana. They need a little bit of that.
Yeah, well, the boys that don't have fathers in the home too.
Yeah, you show me a screw up, I'll show you a kid with no dad.
Yeah, I didn't have no dad, so I did okay though.
You did okay.
Yeah. I owe a lot to my older brother though. He helped me a lot too.
You had a role model in there. That guide you along.
Yeah, he's in a trade. He just started his own company a couple years ago, but he like installs cameras and stuff. So he got me in the industry and kind of took me under his wing for a lot of years. But yeah, I'm sure you influenced a lot of people in a good way.
Yeah, I hope so. I had a lot of sins to cover.
Yeah.
Tried to get that scale.
Yeah.
So when I finally do give up the ghost, I can stand before God and He'll say, "All right,
just trying to break even.
All right, man, all right."
Let me just break even. Oh, that's the best I can hope for.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool to be able to like have the perspective of this part of your journey. You know. Like,
it's a trip. Getting to this part of life, you know, being 60, I find myself looking back a lot. Not to like reminisce, but I look back at my parents.
Yeah.
And kind of look at like what were they doing when they were 60, and am I in that kind of realm? Are they you know, they both passed away long ago, but the way they got together, I'd like to talk about this for a second. It's pretty interesting.
Right.
My mother and father. My father was Dutch Indonesian, so he grew up in Indonesia, which was then the Dutch East Indies. His family owned a plantation, a tea plantation, and a chemistry warehouse, something like that. So they were very wealthy.
Yeah.
They were doing all right. And my mom, she grew up in Australia, outside of a little town called Lithgow, and her dad and her uncles all owned a lumber mill there. So my dad got sick a lot. He had malaria. So in 38, 39, he got sent back to Holland. Okay, so the Dutch, they had houses in Holland and a house in Indonesia. So they're both Dutch Indonesian. That's
Yeah.
the Dutch colonized Indonesia. So pretty much how it worked. Then World War II kicks off. The Japanese invade Indonesia for the oil. They need all the oil. So all of my aunts and uncles get sent into camps, civilian camps under control of the Japanese. And, good luck with that, buddy.
And what happened to be right at the time when your dad left?
My dad wasn't there. He was in Holland, and the Germans come rolling through. So he's got to go underground, and he's dodging stormtroopers for 3.5, 4 years in Holland. And so when the war finally ended, my father went to school in Sydney, Australia. He went to university there to study to be a mechanical engineer. And that's where he met my mom. She was a school teacher, and she was chaperoning a dance. And my dad had been asked to go by one of my mom's friends. It was kind of a secret blind date.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't know each other. We're going to be there. But it was kind of like, hey, if we get these guys close. But my dad didn't know English. so he's trying to talk to my mom in Dutch, and so he had to go home. He said, "Dude, I learned English very quickly because I wanted to talk to your mom. I wanted to ask on a date."
There's no translate
No,
back
no
then.
Google Translate, man. He's a fucking dictionary, And he rode a Harley back in the 50s now. So she really dug that. I've seen pictures of him with his little goggles and his little leather helmet. And so they started dating. They fell in love. And my dad, he got a job in Canada. His company was building a lumber mill in British Columbia. So he goes up to British Columbia, leaves my mom in Australia, and a couple months go by, and he calls my mom down in Australia and asks her to marry him over the phone. Dude.
Yeah.
You're in Canada.
Yeah, the
you're on
width
the other
of the
side
world,
of the world. Yeah,
separating them.
So my mom says yes, and she said that all of the men in Australia had been killed in World War II because they were fighting the Japanese from 1939 to 1945, and they only had it's a small population compared to our guys.
Dense.
We didn't go in the war until almost 1942. December 7th, 1941, that's almost 42. Then we jump in, but Australia had been fighting for a couple years. So she said yes, took a leap of faith, and got on a steamship. A month later, that steamship pulls into Canada. They get married, and then they have me and they have my sisters, and we end up living up there in northern British Columbia for a little while. And then my dad gets another job down here in the U.S. And the Dutch, as a people, are great sailors. They love to sail. So my dad, he said, we're going to sail to America. So I didn't think anything of it. But looking back, I'm like, that guy's got some balls.
Yeah.
Some fucking stones. We bought a 30-foot Rawson open sea sailboat. They built the whole interior themselves. And they packed me, my two sisters, and my mom and dad. They shipped all our furniture, and off we went from northern British Columbia, which is like the border of Alaska, Prince Rupert, BC. It took us 30 days to get down here. And let me tell you the story real quick, man. This is
By all means.
This is one of the. I mean, I remember a lot of cool stuff that happened, but we're going through this Queen Charlotte Sound. I think that was what it was called, and there was a gale or a hurricane, one or the other. I can't remember, but I woke up and I used to sleep in a little quarter berth next to the engine, and then there's a cabin. My mom slept there, Dad slept there, Annie and Jane in the 4 bunks. I wake up and we're going up and down. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah.
My mom is strapped in. she's got these straps to hold you in so you don't go flopping around inside the cabin. I look out into the cockpit where the tiller, and there's my dad and my oldest sister in their storm gear with the motor going. And I crawl across my sister and I look out the porthole, and we're going like waves as tall as the mast. And we're going up and down and up. And I could see way across in the distance there was like a big ocean liner. And that fucker's doing the same thing, man, going up and down. And that was the only time in my life I've ever been seasick.
Yeah. How old were you?
I was like 6.
Yeah.
And I was up in the head, and my sister was hanging on to me, and I was just dry heaving, and it was miserable. And we finally make it into port, and all the fishermen are scrambling to get into port to get this storm over with. And my MO was I would hop off the boat and go explore. And I'd leave. And I ran into this fisherman who he had a hook deep in his hand, big hook. And I said, hey, come back to my boat, because we had a medical kit that our family doctor had given to us before we left. And it had, Novocaine, sutures, the whole shebang. And he comes over, and my mom numbs him up, pulls a hook out, fixes him up, and wraps him up. He says, thank you. Why don't you come over to my boat? I've got some red snapper for you. It's fresh. We just caught it yesterday. I'd love to give you some as payment. So I go up on top of the boat. I'm watching this happen. And my dad, he grabs this little bucket that we have, this little pink bucket. And he's walking over to this guy's boat. And all the other fishermen are laughing at my dad. And I thought they were laughing at him because he had a pink bucket, but they were laughing at him because when he came back, these red snapper fillets were on his shoulder. They were freaking huge, man. They're like, what are you going to do with that bucket, old timer? Here you go, man. And so we had red snapper for a couple of days. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, just even 30 days at sea, that's all your football. How often would you guys stop?
Like once every couple of days. Yeah. We'd either go into a port or we would find a cove. And like back then you had to read charts.
Right.
Like, there was no GPS. So he'd have his little ruler, and he'd say, okay, the tide is going to be this. We need 6 feet under the keel. We gotta leave at this time. We gotta get there at this time, and the current's going this way. And I mean, dude, I remember just tree-lined banks to the water and just glass. Watching this going down the inside passage, killer whales coming up, bumping the boat, just saying hello. Yeah, it was something else.
Yeah, what a journey! Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, he videoed. He got a lot of it on Super 8. Yeah, he was like a camera guy,
amongst many other things.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah. He was a hunter. He shot a couple elephants and a leopard. And in the 50s, when he finally got back home, he was a commando for the Dutch army fighting the communists in the jungles of Indonesia. And I think his most lasting impression on me was how devout a Catholic he was. His whole brothers, his father, I mean, he was very, very devout.
Yeah.
And you would never know it if he wasn't a preacher. But if I remember being on vacation in the summertime, driving around, and he would find a Catholic church. If it was Sunday, it didn't matter where we were. We were going to church. Like if it was a little box, we were going, man. We were going to mass.
It was inevitable.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It did not matter.
It's interesting how things like that, like, because when you were describing how he had to read the chart and calculate all those things, like, that's intelligence, but that's like a level of intelligence translates to toughness, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I was just thinking, like, bro, how tough you have to be to, like, you get on a boat and we're confident. we're not only leaving the country, but we're leaving the country by sea, and we're gonna start our new life. And it's hard to really understand how like
And we went
intelligence
through
is
customs
confidence.
in Seattle, and the customs officer came on board, and I remember watching this guy. And my father, he had his military rifle.
Yep.
It's a 30-30 with a flash suppressor, just a bitching gun. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about guns back then, but I
Top
pulled
of
up
the line.
pictures of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy took it. Said, "Yeah, we're gonna have that."
Yeah.
My dad's like, "Take it, take it. I don't need it.
I'll trade it for.
Yeah.
I'll trade it for this.
Yeah, for our green cards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm sure it had to. If it was his military gun, it had to have been important to him. But
Yeah.
it was worth it, man. Yeah, what a journey.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It was
I mean, even for him, it's like even as these stories and the him in the war and the getting sick and being like, man, it makes I gotta like toughen up. I gotta toughen up.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you-
nothing bothered him.
Yeah.
After all that, when he came over here, he didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
You couldn't come home and say, "Dad, I had a stressful day." You couldn't do that. It didn't work, man.
What?
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. He laughed in my face too
Yeah.
many times, man. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Dad, no, I can't take it." Like, don't worry, son. It goes
Yeah.
quick, you know.
As he lived like multiple lifetimes within just one
yeah.
lifetime, right?
Yeah,
Like, that's-
him and my mom both. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of what do you say? Almost like tragedy.
Yeah.
Like unimaginable tragedy during the war. The
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
those guys had to go through. The stuff they saw. You know, people getting killed just for no reason.
Hiding in your own home.
Yeah.
Like I can't.
It's nuts, man.
Yeah.
Like today, people go, "Oh yeah, that's racist." I'm like, dude, no, racist is when you get your head chopped off because you're Catholic,
Yeah.
or you get thrown into an oven because of your religion.
Yeah.
All right, now
Yeah.
calm the hell down.
You're hiding in
You got food in your fridge, and your light turns
Yeah.
on when you flip the switch, and
insane.
that's more than 90% of the world.
Yeah, and how that it's not that far removed from us too. Like that was just your dad that lived
That was
that.
a
and
couple
that's-
decades ago.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
it's not. I mean, it's literally just your dad that
Fortunately,
was going through that.
Before he died, and my aunt, I sat down with him, kind of like you and I are sitting
Yeah.
down, and I recorded a bunch of his adventures and a bunch of my aunt's adventures, and they're pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, they didn't want to talk at first, but once you got them going, like their eyes would kind of like drift off.
Yeah.
Like they weren't there. They just kept talking, but they were going back in time.
Yeah,
It was really, I mean, for me, it was really cool because
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to save this for my kids so nobody forgets the sacrifice that they made.
right. Yeah,
Or what it's really like, so it's not real like, hey, let's go to war. No, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You can talk about it, man. That's
can't even develop a disciplined routine. Eh? You're ready to
yeah, you're ready
to
to go.
upend the whole country.
Yeah, you're ready to go get after it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, count me out. I'll be in
Yeah.
Idaho. I'll be in North Idaho.
Going head to head with some coyotes.
Yeah. Going head up with a timber wolf.
Yeah.
That'll be next. That will be next.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
And I have a lot of respect for you. Just
thank you.
yeah, just man to man. And congratulations
These are
on
things
your
I don't talk very much at school about. So
congratulations on your retirement. And
Thank you very
I got
much.
admiration for you, and it's really cool.
likewise.
Yeah, it's
I hope you guys gonna get married soon?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's, these generations.
Yeah, I know.
We're scared of everything. We're scared of everything.
Well, at least take the tax break, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah. At least combine the
Yeah.
LLC for the
Yeah.
podcast, right? Yeah, get everything all lined up. Yeah. So I know where you're going from here, but it's part of the tradition for the episode. So just gotta ask where are you going from here?
probably just gonna go home,
Yeah.
lift some weights, man.
There you go. Keep it going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been doing so much painting, and it's been just sucking away my energy. So I think I'll go pump some iron.
Yeah.
And then,
recondition a little bit.
Yeah, just go do some bench,
That-
then go to In-N-Out.
yeah.
I don't think they have those in Idaho.
Yeah, you gotta get them,
Gotta
get them
get
in.
that
Yeah,
while it's- while-
probably have to get some tacos
Yeah.
and any Mexican food cravings before you.
You know,
before
they,
you head
they
out.
had a pretty decent Mexican restaurant
Yeah.
up there. They got a couple.
Yeah.
You know, I've we've gone
They
up there a
have to,
couple
right?
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But In-N-Out, no.
no, right?
But I mean, they got a Costco and
Yeah,
movie theaters. It's not like totally like an outhouse and you know,
it's not
pumping
the
our
dungeons.
water.
Yeah, it's not Blythe, California.
Oh, we've been
Yeah.
to the land of the dirt people so
Yeah.
many times. we've seen it all out there, man.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
I'm sure-
You've seen everything.
There has to be like some nice lakes up there by you and
Lake Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah,
Lake Coeur d'Alene, Lake Hayden.
we've been wanting to do like because everybody travels abroad and international, but I want to do a
Do America.
yeah,
man.
do America because
America, just take a drive.
yeah, right.
You
Yeah, I
know,
want to
drive
we
up
want to
the
do
one.
something like that. Yeah,
The one is unbelievable.
right. Big Sur and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
If you haven't done that yet, that's a good one. And then you get up to the Columbia River, and you just make a right,
yeah,
and that'll take you all the way through to Idaho
Yeah.
and Montana, whatever that road is. It goes through the Columbia River Gorge.
Yeah.
That's where they
Beautiful.
filmed Twilight.
yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah, I've been there.
And then just for like a more selfish reason, like just any advice for the 30-year-olds, the younger generations that you know we're the ones now that have to raise the kids that will.
Yeah,
You're at a stage in your life, you're in this transition where you've accumulated a lot of knowledge and experience and
first, if I could go back in time and talk to myself, my 30-year-old self, I would say, dude, you don't have it. You don't have time. And I've learned that from other people who've
Right.
told me that. However much time you think you have, you don't have it. So if there's something you want to do, get on it.
all right.
Get on it. Even if it's packing the dishwasher, man. Do it. Make each day count. Each day. You know, you're not gonna hit a home run every day, but you got to get up to the plate and swing. Man.
Right. Yeah, and the home runs,
Yeah.
it's enticing
Yeah.
to aim for, but
But you got to get up there and you got to grind every day. Every day.
yeah.
That's it. Sweat through a couple t-shirts a week. Stay in shape.
Yeah.
Your body, you're going to be 50, you're going to be 60. What you look like and feel like, that's depends on what you do today.
You're right. Yeah, it's not optional.
No.
It's not optional. Yeah.
Remember, health is a commodity.
Yeah.
Health is a commodity. That's for sure.
Well,
And
where-
if you want to have kids, you better have them now.
Yeah.
I had my kids when I was like 40. Yeah. And it damn near killed me.
You made it out though. You made it out. You made it out.
I'm still dealing with them. Man.
Yeah.
The one's in Japan and one's at home cleaning her cat box or whatever.
Dude,
Yeah.
polar opposites right there.
Yeah.
When-
But I think you guys are doing real well.
Yeah.
Very impressed with your operation here. Very
yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
You know?
Yeah. It's just been like little tiny progress. One follower, one subscriber, one
I'll just
one comment. Yeah. One comment
I'll throw Predcon in there.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we'll
for sure.
follow you back, of course, and we'll attach all you guys' links and everything
Yeah.
to the description. So if anybody wants to learn more, and yeah, man, thank
Call
you.
me up, man. We'll try not to get arrested.
Yeah, I got to do it. I've never gone on a.
Well, you went
on-
shooting with us.
Yeah, but not a hunt.
barely
yeah.
made it, but
Yeah,
yeah.
barely made it out. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Really
Welcome.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you. All right, that's a wrap.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right,
That was
appreciate
really
it,
cool.
man.
Yeah.